The video that circulated in the Republic of Azerbaijan depicts what appears to be a private, home-based ritual. At the center of the footage is a young woman identified as Lamia Aliyeva. The lighting in the room is dim. Her physical posture appears unnatural. For extended periods of time, her eyes remain open without blinking. Sitting in front of her is Vuçal Mardinli, a man who identifies himself as an exorcist. He begins reciting prayers and chants in a steady, emotionless tone. Throughout the video, there is no visible presence of medical personnel, supervisors, or any form of professional oversight. As the ritual continues, Aliyeva's behavior changes. Her body enters sudden, involuntary convulsions. Unusual sounds emerge from her throat, low, distorted noises that many viewers later described as growling or moaning. The camera does not cut away. It records every moment continuously. At a later point, Mardinli lights a match and brings the flame close to the woman's hand and forearm. The fire makes direct contact with her skin. The action does not stop. It is repeated multiple times. In the footage, the burning of the skin is clearly visible. This segment of the video triggered widespread shock across social media. Many users stated they were unable to watch it to the end. Despite this, the video continued to circulate and, according to reports, was viewed approximately 180,000 times within Azerbaijan alone. A significant number of viewers described the act as physical abuse. In these reactions, concerns were raised that if the individual in the video was suffering from a psychological disorder, the actions shown could be dangerous and potentially irreversible. Others, however, interpreted the ritual differently, describing it as a form of religious healing. Following the escalation of public reaction, Lamia Aliyeva spoke to BBC Azerbaijani service, stating that she had participated voluntarily. She claimed she had not been forced and that her rights had not been violated. These statements, however, did not fully resolve public concern. A central question remained: whether a person in such a condition is capable of making an informed, conscious decision. Meanwhile, Vuçal Mardinli continued to promote himself on social media platforms, including Instagram, where he shared contact information and presented himself as someone capable of treating similar cases. Additional videos allegedly showing comparable rituals performed by him remain accessible online. Kanim Javadova, a BBC journalist based in Baku, noted that the case exposed a deep divide within Azerbaijani society between traditional belief systems and modern perspectives on mental health. According to her, while part of the population views the footage as a warning sign, others regard it as a legitimate ritual. At the time these reports were published, no official information had been released regarding legal action related to the case. The exact physical and psychological condition of Aliyeva following the ritual was also not publicly clarified. What remains is a video, a confined room, a small flame, and a woman who endures pain in front of a camera without visible resistance. And for many observers, that is precisely what makes this case so deeply disturbing. These sounds are real.
Der Neid über die andere Engel.
Was gibt's nicht, Ruhe? Ruhe gibt's nur da oben.
Ruhe gibt's nur dort, wo die Liebe ist.
Ja, bei uns gibt's no.
Für Hass.
Ja.
Wo der Hass ist, da gibt's keine Ruhe.
Nein. Und für uns gibt's nie Ruhe. Nie.
Weil,
Ewigkeit.
weil er nicht dorthin kommt, wo der Schöpfer ist.
Aber für uns gibt's kein Zurück.
What you hear is not a cinematic reconstruction. It is not sound design. It is not fiction. These are authentic audio recordings captured during Catholic exorcism rituals conducted in West Germany in the 1970s. The voice heard on these tapes belongs to a young woman named Anneliese Michel. She was born on September 21, 1952, and died on July 1, 1976, at the age of 23. Anneliese Michel was a German Catholic raised in a deeply religious household. Until her mid-teens, her behavior began to change. According to medical records, she suffered from severe seizures, auditory and visual hallucinations, deep depression, and self-harming behavior. Physicians diagnosed her with conditions including temporal lobe epilepsy and serious psychiatric disorders. But Anneliese and her family offered a different explanation. She claimed she heard voices that insulted her, threatened her, and described themselves as non-human. According to those close to her, she became unable to enter a church, reacted with terror to religious symbols, and spent hours praying without rest. Eventually, the Michel family requested a formal exorcism. After review, the Roman Catholic Church granted permission. 2 priests, Arnold Renz and Ernst Alt, were assigned to carry out the ritual. Between 1975 and 1976, more than 60 exorcism sessions were performed. On the tapes, Anneliese's voice can be heard, a voice that listeners describe as distinctly different from her natural speaking voice.
Magnificat
Anima mea Domino, et exultavit spiritus meus, in Deo salutari meo, via respexit humilitatem ancile sue, exelim ex hoc beata medicent omnes generationes, via fecit mihi manum.
She repeats names that the priests identified as demons, figures drawn from Christian and non-Christian texts alike. She screams, she moans. At certain moments, sounds emerge from her throat that many have described as deeply unnatural. During this same period, Anneliese's physical condition rapidly deteriorated. She nearly stopped eating. Her weight dropped at an alarming rate. In the final months, she suffered from severe malnutrition and chronic dehydration. On July 1, 1976, Anneliese Michel died in her family's home. Her weight at the time of death was reported to be approximately 30 kilograms. Following her death, a criminal investigation was launched. A German court ruled that what had taken place was not a legitimate spiritual intervention, but negligence resulting in death. Medical experts testified that had proper medical treatment continued, Anneliese would likely have survived. The 2 priests and Anneliese's parents were all convicted of manslaughter by negligence. They received suspended prison sentences and fines. After the case concluded, the Catholic Church revised its official position. The Church stated that Anneliese Michel suffered from mental illness and that the case should not be regarded as a genuine demonic possession. But the story did not end there. The tapes remained, recordings that still circulate, recordings that are still listened to, and recordings that for some people defy a purely medical explanation. Many particularly within religious communities, believe Anneliese Michel was not the victim of a modern diagnostic error, but of modern humanity's refusal to acknowledge the existence of the supernatural. Today, Anneliese Michel's grave has become a site of pilgrimage. Visitors from different countries travel there. They light candles, and they believe she was truly possessed. Her story inspired two motion pictures, The Exorcism of Emily Rose and Requiem. But neither film captures exactly what was preserved on those tapes. What remains is a real young woman, real audio recordings, and a blurred boundary between faith, illness, and something that has yet to be fully explained.
These images are not reenactments. What is shown is authentic footage from a real visit by Ed and Lorraine Warren to a family known as the Smurls in the state of Pennsylvania. During the 1980s, the Smurl residence became the center of repeated reports of unexplained phenomena for more than a decade. Family members described nighttime noises, sudden and overpowering odors of decay, objects moving without cause, and physical contact from unseen forces. In these recordings, Ed and Lorraine Warren are seen inside the house itself. Their manner of speaking is calm and controlled. However, the camera lingers on elements that appear distinctly abnormal. The walls, the stairways, and specific areas of the home where the family claimed the most intense activity occurred. During the visit, Lorraine Warren, who identified herself as clairvoyant, stated that she sensed the presence of multiple non-human entities. Ed Warren characterized the case as severe and long-term, not an isolated or temporary occurrence. These tapes are more than visual documentation. They are fragments of a case that, at the time, generated widespread public fear. Local media, law enforcement, and even representatives of the church became indirectly involved. Yet no official report ever confirmed the presence of paranormal activity. What remains notable is that the Smurl family never withdrew their account. Even years later, they continued to insist that their home had been the site of forces beyond their control. The case would later be inspired by cinematic interpretations. However, contrary to rumors circulating online, the Smurl case was not officially recorded as the final case of Ed and Lorraine Warren, and no direct adaptation of it for The Conjuring 4 has been confirmed. All that remains are these tapes. Images that prove nothing. Yet for many, they are real enough that they cannot be ignored.
In 1949, a series of events documented by Jesuit priests drew an American family into one of the most controversial religious cases of the 20th century. A case later known under the pseudonym Roland Doe. A case that would go on to inspire both the novel and the film, The Exorcist. The house was located in the quiet neighborhood of Belle Noire in St. Louis, Missouri. A brick structure with white-framed windows, tall trees, and a neatly kept yard. From the outside, there was nothing to suggest that this home had once been the center of one of the most severe exorcism rituals ever recorded in American history. Before the family relocated to St. Louis, the events began in January of 1949 in Washington, D.C. A 13-year-old boy named Ronald Hunkeler, later known as Roland Doe or Robbie Mannheim, began exhibiting behavior that deeply alarmed his family. During the day, he appeared calm, normal, unaffected. But at night, after going to bed, everything changed. Sudden screams, violent outbursts, episodes described as trance-like states. He produced sounds that did not resemble ordinary speech, low, harsh, and distorted in tone. Scratches and red marks began appearing on his body without any identifiable cause. Soon after, scratching noises were reported coming from the walls and the floor. Water leaked from pipes and walls for no clear reason, and eventually, according to witnesses, the boy's bed began to move on its own. At this stage, the family sought help from physicians and psychiatrists. No explanation was found. A local Lutheran minister was also consulted. Unable to offer a solution, he ultimately suggested that the family contact the Catholic Church and the Jesuit order. With official permission granted by church authorities, Father E. Albert Hughes initiated the first exorcism in late February 1949. Ronald was restrained to the bed for the ritual. It did not end well. During the rite, the boy managed to break loose a bed spring and used it to injure Father Hughes, striking him across the shoulders. The ritual was immediately discontinued. Days later, new marks appeared on Ronald's body, including scratches that reportedly spelled out the word Lewis. His mother interpreted this as a sign. The family decided to travel to St. Louis, where relatives lived. There, a family member who was a student at St. Louis University introduced them to Father Walter Halloran and Father William Bowdern, both Jesuit priests. After consultation with university authorities, the priests agreed to take over the case. In early March 1949, they gathered at a house on Roanoke Drive. The same phenomena resumed: the violent movement of the bed, fresh scratches appearing on the boy's body, behaviors identical to those previously observed in Maryland. A consistent pattern became evident. During the day, Ronald behaved normally, but at night he screamed, cursed, entered deep trances, and reacted violently to religious objects. According to the priests, objects moved or thrown in his presence. Over the following weeks, additional signs were reported. A cross-shaped mark, resembling the letter X, appeared on Ronald's chest. Father Halloran believed the symbol represented the number 10. In another incident, red claw-like lines appeared along Ronald's thigh, extending toward his ankle. These events reportedly continued for over a month, occurring almost nightly. On a later night, the red cross appeared again on his chest. The priests interpreted this as evidence of the presence of 10 entities. On March 20th, the situation reached a critical stage. Ronald urinated on the bed, screamed relentlessly, and verbally assaulted the priests. At this point, his parents agreed to move him to Alexian Brothers Hospital in St. Louis. The exorcisms continued there. On the evening of April 18, 1949, Easter Monday, an event occurred that the priests described as the conclusion of the case. Ronald awoke in a violent convulsion, shouting that Satan would always remain with him. In response, the priests placed sacred relics, crucifixes, medals, and rosaries upon his body. At 10:45 p.m., they invoked Saint Michael the Archangel, demanding that Satan depart from the boy. Witnesses reported the priests shouting commands directly at the entity. 7 minutes later, Ronald emerged from the trance. He spoke only one sentence: "He's gone." He then claimed to have seen a vision, Saint Michael standing in a vast battlefield, defeating Satan. From that night forward, according to priestly records, the disturbances stopped. The abnormal behavior ceased, and Ronald Hunkeler went on to live an otherwise normal life. Had it not been for a brief article published in the Washington Post in August 1949, the case might never have become public. That report withheld names and specific details, confirming only that a real exorcism had taken place. More than 20 years later, William Peter Blatty drew upon unofficial notes kept by Halloran and Bowdern to write the novel The Exorcist. The novel remained on bestseller lists for 54 consecutive weeks. In 1973, its film adaptation was released. The movie introduced significant changes. The child's gender was altered, the setting was condensed, and dramatic elements were added. But the core of the story, the scratches, the screams, the trances, and the religious confrontation came directly from this case. After the exorcism, the family returned to the East Coast. Reports indicate Ronald married, raised a family, and named his first son Michael. The hospital room where the final ritual took place was sealed. The hospital itself was demolished in 1978. The family's former home in Maryland was later reduced to an empty lot. In 1993, author Thomas B. Allen, in his book Possessed, claimed to have uncovered the true identity of Roland Doe, but stated he would never reveal the name. And the quiet house on Roanoke Drive, sold to new owners in 2005, still stands today, a perfectly ordinary home with no outward sign of what was once said to have occurred inside.